What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got some more crazy entitled parent stories for you, so sit back, relax, and let's jump straight into them. My daughter deserves her own private video call with her best friend. So, my sister, Elle, celebrated her 10th birthday in lockdown, and so she had a video call with a group of close friends. For some backstory, she had changed school, since the one she used to go to, and so did I but many years before her, was a terrible school, with bullies and lazy teachers around every corner, so she didn't have as much contact with her close friends as possible, and therefore she was more upset when she couldn't see them on her birthday. They were all on a private group chat, so she put the link to the Zoom link on that group. She also included a message that she had a call with her family after it, so if you didn't join that call, then you couldn't have your own private call, though she hoped they'd all be able to make it. My sister also mentioned that she couldn't do it in the week either, as our school has been swamping us with work, so we barely have any free time. One of my sister's friends, who is entitled, who was probably the least close to her out of that group, has a tendency not to check messages. So my sister made sure she got the message by privately messaging her, emailing her, and any other medium that she had access to. But despite these efforts, she didn't get the message and missed out on the call. A couple of days later, we get a call from her entitled mum, which I pick up as my mum is out. It goes as such. Hello? Hi OP, it's EM. Can I speak to your mum? Sorry, mum's out. Would you like me to leave a message? Could you tell her that I was wondering when my daughter's private call with your sister is, as she has been waiting for a while now and has been very patient. Oh, I'm sorry, but my sister cannot have a call with your daughter, as she and I are both swamped with work at the moment, and we don't get much free time. I doubt your sister has said that. You're just speaking for her. I'll get her on now if you want. She's on a short break. Fine. I brought the phone over to my sister, who was browsing TikTok, unhappy face, on her phone. TikTok's not that bad, come on. My sister said, Hi I would really like to speak to your daughter, but I have very few breaks and I would like to spend them reading my book or browsing on my phone. Bye. I said, is that enough for you? Oh, she doesn't know what she's saying. My daughter and your sister are BFFs. Whilst they are close, my sister has told me multiple times that someone else is her best friend. How dare you? My little girl is crying because of what you just said. She handed the phone over to her daughter. Her kid muttered, what am I doing? Her entitled mum said, cry. Oh, yeah, insert bad fake crying here. At this point, I could barely contain myself and had to hold my breath to stop myself from laughing. I couldn't. What's so funny, you brats? Bye, I swear she had started saying, that's right, walk away, female dog, before I hung up. My mum later got a message saying that I had yelled obscenities at the entitled mum and her daughter. I told my mum what really happened and we just laughed it off and didn't stoop to the entitled mum's level. I honestly feel sorry for her kid, being stuck with a parent like that and being forced to play along. My sister did end up speaking to the kid, but only a couple of weeks later once the half-term holidays had begun. Well, look, she cried so hard and got so far, but in the end, she didn't really get anywhere, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not really sure where I was going with that. Honestly, this entitled mum telling her daughter to cry, that is just pure cringe. Like, what sort of logic goes through your head to say, yeah, just cry really quickly, I'm sure that will work? No, it wouldn't. Moving on to our next story, entitled Dad tries to steal cab from my disabled mother. This all took place last winter, but I just remembered it. My mother is disabled and uses a wheelchair, so we are often given extra help navigating airports. We usually leave her personal wheelchair at home when we fly because it's very difficult to try and transport it, and our extended family has a spare chair for her to use when we visit. One time, we were told that we would be at the front of the cab line because my mother was using one of the airport wheelchairs, and they tried to free those up as soon as possible for other disabled travellers who might need them. The sky cap, like a bellhop but for airports I think, took our luggage so I could push my mum and took us to the front of the line. This airport was near DC, so they have different taxi services depending on if you want to go into the city or to Maryland. The sky cap took us to the very front of the line, asked us where we were going, into the city, then walks away so that he could find a free cab from the back of the line for us. We did not steal this man's long-awaited cab. Beside us was a family with two little girls. The entitled dad looked annoyed and kept shooting me and my mother dirty looks. My mum was tired from traveling and pretty checked out, otherwise she probably would have given up the cab to appease this clown. She's nice like that. Luckily for her, her daughter isn't. The skycap let the cab pass the line of other cabs and gestured for it to pull up in front of us. Immediately, the family cuts past us and the entitled dad starts loading up his luggage, while his wife and kids avoid eye contact and get into the car. I was in disbelief, expecting the skycap to say something, but he just stood there looking uncomfortable. So I say, "Excuse me, that's our cab?" The entitled dad gives me another nasty glare. "We were in line first." We were taken to the front of the line because my mother is disabled. There's no way he didn't see her, she was sitting right beside me. "My family has been waiting 15 minutes for this cab." I gesture at the skycap. He brought this taxi over specifically for us. But the entitled dad just ignores me. The cabbie says, "Where are you headed?" The entitled dad says a random Maryland address. "Sir, this cab only goes to DC. You'll have to get another one." I gave him the smuggest look I could muster and helped my mum from her chair to the car as he unloaded all his luggage. The skycap didn't help him and neither did his wife. Then he and the cabbie started loading up our bags for us while the entitled dad hauled all his luggage back to the cab literally right behind ours, which he could have waited 30 seconds for instead. But someone else had grabbed it while he was busy being annoying. Oh man, his poor wife and kids, you know what, he's probably unbearable at home, so I'm not surprised they stayed quiet during this whole ordeal. I wish there was a way where if you jump the queue and everyone realizes, you get sent to the very, very back of it, because that would have been the perfect karma. I feel like the skycap should have stood up for you a little bit more. I mean, you're on your own with your mum who is disabled. He, should have done a better job in my opinion rather than just standing there awkwardly, but I guess the good thing is at the end of the day, you got the cab you deserve to get. The funny part of this story is, as you say, if he'd just waited for another 30 seconds or another minute, it sounds like he was first in line, you overtook him to go first, so he was second. He didn't get sent to the back or anything. He could have just got the next one, waited 30 seconds and been on his way, but no, instead he screwed up. Yeah, unlucky. Now for our final story. I'm your mother, so you should give me half of your work money. A little backstory. My mother is not the entitled mum in this story, but her mother is. My mother's family didn't have a whole lot of money growing up and lived in a not so normal home. I don't want to be disrespectful. Her mother, EM, didn't have a job, but the nice dad did, but only $20 a week. They each had 7 kids together, wow. The entitled mum was not the most respectful person in the world and encouraged her kids not to go to college. Out of the 7 kids, my mum was the only one to go to college and graduate. I love you, mum, if you are reading this. Now on to the story. While my mum was in college, she knew she needed money, so she started a lawn mowing business. $10 for one mowed lawn. The chaos began whenever her mother found out what business she was doing. One day, my mother opened up the front door to find her mother standing there. The following conversation went like this. "Hey, how was school today?" It was mediocre." "So, I heard you started a lawn mowing business." My mum then has an oh snap moment. She found out. "Yeah, what about it?" "Well, since I'm your mother and gave birth to you, don't you think I should have half of it?" "Are you serious right now?" "Yes, I'm serious. Give half of it to me now." My mum is just generally annoyed right now. Oh, fine. My mother then gave her $5 before she walked away. This continued on for a couple of years before she got a then boyfriend, now divorced husband, and decided to move out of that heck hole, you know what I mean. Her nice dad understood, while her entitled mum realised that meant no more payday for her and tried to stop her. My mum yelled at her and told her to stay the frick away from her. She then moved out to stay with her now divorced husband and had 2 children together. They then decided it was not working and decided to get divorced. She then met a new person who is my amazing father and married him after a year and a half of dating. Her and my father then had me and my amazing little brother. My mum is way nicer than her entitled mum. If you want to hear more stories, yes, this isn't the only one, then I would happily go on about my mother's entitled mum. I hope you all have a great day and stay safe. Now, I get that your grandma is entitled, but come on, I feel like your mum should have stood up for herself a little bit more. It was her money that she earned. I don't know why her mum's asking for it in the first place, but even still, she should have just said, "No, I earned this money. It's not a lot, only $10. I'm gonna keep it, and there's nothing you can do about it." I get it, like, obviously she is her mum and she has to be respectful and, listen to what she says, but in this situation, she's done all the work and it just doesn't seem right for her to just give half the money away. Sorry, I'm just completely forgetting that you even said in the intro that your mum's entitled mum didn't even bother to have a job. That is even worse. If you can't be bothered to get a job yourself and then you're fiending off your kids, that makes you a terrible mother in my opinion. Now today's fan art comes in from Slipknot on the subreddit r/Redditor YT. Yeah, I mean look at this. You gotta admit guys, just a little bit classy. Got the hat on, the hoodie on, more coming very soon by the way, fresh new designs, and also the sick face mark as well. Yeah, I really like this one. Nice and simple and a nice design, thank you. Anyway guys, that is gonna do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. I really hope you have all enjoyed it. If you did, show me some support by liking the video, commenting your thoughts on these 3 stories down below, and making sure you are subscribed with notifications on. If you want more stuff from me immediately, everything's on the screen right now. Have a little look through, choose what you might fancy, and yeah, have a great rest of your day.